How's it going, Critter family? I hope you all are doing well. We are back at it again with another video from Senza Tempo Cane Corso. Rachel is the name of the woman running the channel. I don't plan to do too many videos on her, but this one I saw and I've been holding on to for a very long time. It's just been, on the list for a long time that I wanted to cover. She will be, in this title, training Cane Corso to walk respectfully. I'm always a stickler for the words they use. On leash and accept strangers. So I'm not sure who this gentleman is. Might be someone that she works with, or just a friend, or just maybe a trainer. I don't know. So we have a tight slip lead on. Poor dog already choking. I'm not a fan of the way that she trains anyway. So that's why I want to check this video out and show you. She has using a loop lead or a slip lead, using a show lead, releasing tension, reattach old lead. Switching collars, great, because one wasn't enough. More control, tension, working with the harness. Oh, that'll be interesting to see. Ending on a positive note. I mean, geez, she's working for almost 30 minutes here, 25 minutes with this poor dog. And you're going to end that on a positive note? That's just... Anyway. So I'm using this video and all footage under Fair Use Act for education, criticism, giving my educated point of view. And I'm not saying that to toot my own horn. I'm just saying compared to her, who she spreads a lot of misinformation. Dogs are not pack animals. You're not alpha. You're not doing any of this nonsense. So trying to correct misinformation that she puts out there a lot. And by doing so, I'm trying to give these dogs a voice and clear up any of that misinformation for people who want to hear it. I'm not looking to change anybody's mind that doesn't want their mind to be changed. I'm not trying to change her mind or any of her viewers' minds if you're not, open-minded to it. So I'm trying to give these dogs a voice and give you, from an educated standpoint, my own experience working with dogs, using positive reinforcement, never having to use or rely on tools like this. I use a harness with every dog, and I can teach them to walk, you could say respectfully, on leash. So with all that being said, let's get started, shall we?
Rachel here with Senza Tempo Cane Corso.
Okay, so he's just straight up choking this dog. The dog is trying to lay down to relieve stress. I mean, when people do this and they don't allow the dog to just lay down and relieve that tension, or when they're just sitting there, when the dog is just sitting and the person is sitting there with a tight leash and they're not paying attention, the dog can't even lay down. I have a problem with that. It's just over-controlling and unnecessary.
I'm here with one of my customers.
Oh, okay, so he's a customer. Okay, so she always claims to be like a trainer. I guess this is on that. She always claims to be a trainer. I mean, yeah, she is a trainer, essentially. This guy's a trainer. Everybody who works with a dog or an animal is a trainer. There's no legality to it that no requirement for education, background, or certification or anything like that.
And this is a Mona and Mad Mortigan puppy. She came here for socialization, and we realized that we could probably do some training as well. And so
I know a lot of people get irritated, mainly people I don't care about, that say, why are you saying ouch, ouch, ouch? Because it's uncomfortable to the dog. Come on, the dog is not necessarily a different creature, that's like a tree that doesn't feel anything. I mean, even trees feel stuff, but put yourself in your dog's shoes, okay, or your dog's paws. If you wouldn't want this done to you, what's the difference between this happening to a person or a child or a dog? This is just as foreign to a dog and uncomfortable. And he still hasn't learned to just loosen this leash. The more leash you give your dog, the less they fight. I know it sounds crazy, but if you try it and you try to take away some of that control, give your dog a little bit of freedom, it works so much easier.
So that's what we're doing, and I'm showing Aaron the difference between what he's been using, which is just a standard leash.
Hey, good on him. Oh my gosh, are those little lemons? That's so cute. And a little pink leash. Right on my man. Now she's going to ruin that and take all that away because she doesn't know anything, but this is what I would use. Minimum this width compared to just, the rope, which is rounded and cuts into the, neck. This can still dig into the neck as well. Not cut, but dig. But it's not quite as bad. You could still teach your dog. I would prefer to teach a dog like this. And like I always say, I'll leave a link in the description below showing how I taught my Shiba and every other dog that I work with using a harness and even a wide flat buckle collar. So if you want to check that out, you can. So
collar here, and
I did have a little lemon on it.
And so he was kind of struggling with control with the dog. and she was kind of just really doing whatever she wanted to.
Okay, so it's not don't choke her. We got whale eyes, nervousness. So let me explain a few things here. The whole thing about control is not necessary. I mean, yes, here you may think you have more control over the dog because you're preventing them from going where they want, but really you lose control because the dog is going to be going into fight or flight. I mean, look at how tight this leash is and how tight it's been the entire time. This dog, as we see the whale eyes and the tail is down and she's not, super happy, just by her body language, she's not very comfortable. This is less control. If you just held on to the end of this leash, and if this were on even on a slip lead, and it were loose, you didn't have it locked down here so it's constantly tight, you would have, surprisingly more control that way because she wouldn't feel the need to fight it. And this woman says, that she's just doing whatever she wants. Well, she's a dog. I mean, anybody with free will do what they want unless you tell them otherwise or unless you teach them otherwise. So you can force them to be a robot like Joel Beckman and Dog Daddy. Everybody's just so controlling that they want to take every living creature's free will away from them when they're on leash with them. Like, he was just fine with that regular flat buckle collar. She's going to pull in it regardless. She's going to pull in a harness unless you teach them otherwise. The harness doesn't cause pulling. Really, I mean, when you put them in fight or flight, this will cause pulling. This is opposition reflex. But you have to teach them, that there's limits, and you don't teach them this way.
And I showed him
she's
the loop
fighting
lead.
it. Jesus Christ, dude! Like, God dang, this dog is actually choking. Now he's gonna go and try and rescue here, but that's the danger of just using a regular slip lead. It's a noose.
I did some work with her,
Good
but this
Lord.
is only the second time that he's even
She's
tried to walk her with
fighting
the slip lead. So
the slip lead is choking her. He tried to loosen it. I don't know if it's locked up or what. I think it's just a regular 6-foot corded leash. That I don't know what she's calling about loop lead. He's using it like a slip lead, but it's a regular 6-foot corded leash. Corded meaning it's a round cord. He might just have the clip around here, but because it's so thick, it's not going to loosen like a regular slip lead. So it's just becoming tighter and tighter and choking the dog, sending her into fight or flight because she's losing air. It hurts. And so you're going to make this dog learn to fight more. Good grief.
it is very normal for a dog that has been used to getting their way to, on the lead, to fight a loop lead the first time that you use it.
Okay, first off, it's a slip lead, not a loop lead. Secondly, she's fighting because she cannot breathe. I'm not saying she's going to pass out, but she could. Look at how tight this is. There's nerve endings here, woman. There's your thyroid gland. There's the esophagus, the trachea. You know what you use to breathe? I mean, it's painful, and the dog is it can't breathe, and she's panicking. So it's not about the free will of the dog saying, I'm fighting this because I want to do what I want to do. It's not that, okay? It's just ignorance and just straight up stupidity of people like her that spread this ignorance. I mean, she has 190,000 subscribers. To me, that's scary that so many people will listen to this and do this. This is why this is being spread. And all this information keeps being spread from people like her who have no educational background. Certainly not anything up to date about working with dogs. She literally side submits dogs. She alpha rolls them when they're puppies, takes advantage of them because she would never do that to a fully grown Cane Corso dog that she does not know. So she takes advantage of them when they're puppies. So that way when they're adults, she has that mental mind game of being able to control them that way because she has no other skills otherwise. People like this just irritate me to no end. So the dog is fighting this. Dogs don't fight because, just for the sake of it. She's fighting this because it's painful, she can't breathe, and she's scared.
Okay, go ahead and relax that hand.
You should have had it relaxed the entire time. You don't want there to be
tension unless she's causing it.
No, you don't. There's still tension here, lady. This leash is not loose. There's still tight tension. And what do you mean there shouldn't be tension unless she's causing it? If she causes tension, you're working too fast. If I were working with this dog, I would have her on regular harness or even her regular collar, and say she gets ahead of me, I'm going to apply the slightest amount of pressure I need. I'd be holding onto the end of the leash, and I would apply it this way, sideways, moving sideways to her body. So if she's facing this way, I would be moving perpendicular, applying pressure that would be moving, the pressure would be applied basically on the right side of her neck if I'm on this side where he's standing. And I would use just enough to get her to move sideways a step, give into that pressure, one step, and then I instantly loosen. And she has that 6-foot leash again. I just want her to move a half an inch. And then we just do that over and over until she eventually learns, when I feel pressure, if I move toward it, it goes away. This guy's here for training, so I'm not necessarily on his case, but I mean, come on, dude. Like, I hope he sticks to his guns and goes back, gets away from this nonsense. I mean, clearly he loves his dog. He's just doing what this idiot's telling him to do. The blind leading the blind. But, and it's a process. It's not an event. You're not going to get it done in one day. You go back and forth. And once the dog learns, unless you keep that pressure up, if you keep that constant tension, then the dog learns, well, if I move back, that doesn't do anything. So let me try something else.
It can be hard to learn how to use a loop lead at first. And that's why, bring your hand
further.
So
it is an actual slip lead, I think. It has the ring.
Closer to her? There you go. And then you can
release just constant correction, constant pressure. This dog is panting with a spatulate tongue. She is stressed. She can't breathe. She's not getting any release of this tension. Just constant choking.
Your hand a little bit more. There you go. And only pull back when she's pulling away.
Look at this. This is a stressed tongue. Flopping out of that. I mean, she can't breathe. She's very uncomfortable.
Away. And you may have to. Oh my
gosh, she's constant choking.
Yeah, I would move it up a little bit because she got it. She got it.
Yeah, she's teaching him to be so rough. Oh my God, look at that. Now the tail is tucking. What little of a tail she has left, because this lady cuts off all her dog's ears and tails because, she thinks it's because of a breed standard. That's nonsense. She likes to claim that it prevents ear infections. It actually causes more ear infections than it prevents. You're just lying. You just like it because of the look. There's no actual need for it. In a lot of other countries, it's called mutilation because it doesn't benefit the dog. These are not working dogs. There's no risk of them, if they're protecting property, there's no risk of them getting their ears ripped off by a coyote or a wolf or something. You take away their ability to communicate with other dogs. But that's just a side note. But goodness gracious, this dog is just constant choking, using a show lead.
This is the same area that we put the show lead.
So this is what, a choke chain on now?
So, don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Just ignore this dog fighting for its life. I don't care if it's for a show lead or not. It doesn't matter about the position. The only difference is the show lead is made of a tiny choke chain material. It actually loosens a lot more than this because she has this on incorrectly. This ring should be on the other side, so that way it instantly loosens. But now it's just a noose and it's constantly tightened, causing this dog to fight. This woman is so ignorant and so uneducated. She doesn't realize she is causing all of this, and this doesn't have to happen to teach a dog to walk respectfully, in her words, on leash.
And she'll fight, and that's fine. You just keep on moving.
No, it's not fine. If you think that this is fine, you're an idiot. She is an idiot by just saying, no, don't worry, it's fine. Just let your dog tuck their tail and choke themselves and freak out, and you're, just ignore it, and eventually, this is just creating a slave-master relationship. She's teaching him to be as stupid and ignorant as she is, and as blind as she is. He's here for help. She's not a trainer, dude. She's not educated. I mean, yeah, she can train dogs, but it doesn't mean that she knows squat, and she doesn't. God, that poor dog.
So you want to bring your hand down closer so that you don't have to have this very long, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, just choke her on 3 inches of leash, because like everybody else that ever walks a dog and everybody else that ever trains this nonsense, they only give the dog like 3 inches worth of leash. It's just ridiculous.
And this is a 7-month-old puppy, so she's, gonna be, she's in training. That's why she's here.
Jesus.
So
just choking. See, this
so
is all you
can see
need.
She's pulling.
That's not even that bad. So if we were right here and she were pulling, first off, I would have him loosen this leash, because again, when you put tension on it, and he's putting tension on it because it's so short, this dog doesn't want to just walk right next to you. It's natural. They want to sniff and explore. Let them have at least, 4 feet of leash. And if she starts really pulling in any one direction, then I would stop walking forward and apply a 1 hand, 1 finger's worth of pressure. Maybe not even a half a pound worth of pressure this way. And I would hold it this way and continue until she gives me she leans in my direction. She moves into that leash and instantly I would loosen. And I expect her to go right back into it. And so that's where we do that little 2-step dance. Just, it's a process, back and forth, back and forth. That's how I taught Adonis. And he was so soft on leash that I could literally stick a twig in the ground and throw his leash on it. And if he felt that much pressure, then he would just sit there because he thought he was stuck and he would wait for me to come undo the leash. I mean, it's possible to do that without ever having to choke the dog and cause them all this nonsense and fighting and making them more fearful. It screams ignorance.
She's still, see how she turned around and completely looked in the opposite direction?
Who cares? She sees dogs barking over here because you're a hoarder. In my opinion, you're just a hoarder with 25, 30 dogs that you're trying to breed on your property. I mean, that's just my own personal opinion, but, chickens and all these other animals, good Lord, but who cares if she looks behind her? She's allowed to explore. I mean, she should be allowed to. I mean, Jesus, this control that people have that don't you dare look over here, don't you do this and that and this and that and this and that. Meanwhile, your overprivileged ass over here is saying, don't you dare do that, but I'm going to do whatever I want. But you don't get to because you're a dog. Jesus, woman. Entitled.
That right there.
Too much tension. Too much tension. And it's because he has the lead so short. Just hold on to the end of your leash. And it's not so that you can have, leverage like Joel Beckman. He lets them get to the end and he pops it. Let them have their leash because when they get a little bit... If you had this dog on a 20-foot line, that leash would be loose. And it may get tight because she wants to go sniff because this lady has all of her 40 dogs running around, at different times. There's a bunch of different smells around here. Wildlife. Chickens, I'm sure hawks or whatnot. Maybe coyotes, deer, I don't know. And this dog wants to sniff. Let them sniff. If I go to a new environment, I let my dog sniff at least 5 or 10 minutes before we do any kind of training. Because I want them to get the newness out, and then they're more ready to work with me and engage with me.
She's used to being able to get her way now.
She's just practicing behavior that she's practiced, and it was rewarded. It was reinforced. The only time she's not going to be pulling is because you're pulling back on her or it hurts to pull. Or it's more rewarding not to pull. Dogs don't pull because they want to. They pull because if they pulled with all their might and they were able to drag you over there and they still got to sniff and they say, okay, if I want to get over here and something's holding me back, I just have to pull harder. Or if that doesn't work and they're pulling against a brick wall, that doesn't work, let me try something else. And if they're standing there on a loose lead and they somehow magically get to go, keep moving, nothing's stopping them, then that's what they're going to do.
Probably get worse the more she realizes that there's not going to be any type of issue. Yeah, she's pulling more.
Well, because you're not relying on the constant correction of the leash.
Disengaged from him, so she's not looking at him, got her nose on the ground.
Well, why would she? He hasn't given her any option or any reason to pay attention to him other than choking her. And besides, I don't care if my dog is constantly looking at me. When I had Adonis, when I would take him on a walk, he could be 6 foot in front of me. He could be 20 feet in front of me, as long as he's not pulling on me. And if I called his name or I said, hey, we're going, this way, come on, whatever, as long as he just gave me that ear, I knew he was listening to me. I knew he was paying attention. I didn't require him to look at me and do a lot of check-ins. That was just, how I worked with him. With my next dog, maybe I'll teach more, it's up to me to teach the dog to check in more using their eyes. But with him, I'm not constantly requiring him to look at me and walk by my side. I'm hard of hearing anyway. When he was young and he had better hearing, I relied on him to be able to hear things around me. We would go walking in wooded areas like this, all the time. And if he heard something behind us and I didn't, I would rely on his cue of looking behind me, and there would be a bicycle, and occasionally there would be a deer just walking by, a little doe like, hey, how's it going? And she'd go this way, whatever, or a loose dog, or just people walking. So I like to rely on their senses, and I don't, I'm not this godlike creature. I'm just my dog's person, and my dog can be a dog. And there are times when you need your dog to focus on you, but it's up to you to teach the dog to focus on you. And I would hope that you would do it in a way that the dog wants to focus on you, because you're a good source. They trust you. You're interesting. You're fun to watch in. It's rewarding, not because they have to.
Looking around, pulling in different directions. She's more relaxed. Yeah, now she's leading you. She's more relaxed because look at that pull. Look at that pull.
Well, because you're not really fixing it. You're not doing anything about it. You're just following the dog. And it's not causing pain. I mean, it's still causing damage to her, no doubt. But if you give her the leash and you actually use pressure and release, you stop, you apply, like I said, you can watch my tutorial if you want. You're not going to fix this in one day. And you are going to have to rely on this slip lead and constant correction the rest of this dog's life. If you ever want to, you're not going to, any other tool, that's the whole problem with this method is that, with this lady, the one, like everybody else, if you only have a one tool in your toolbox and it's a hammer, you're going to view every problem as a nail. So she relies, just like all these other trainers, Dog Daddy, Joel Beckman, Pack Leader Lady, Upstate Canine Academy, all these people rely on their tools, either a prong collar or a shock collar or a slip lead. Most of them rely, Will Atherton, they all rely on slip leads. And they will never get the dog out of the slip lead. Because every other tool, the reason why I teach dogs to walk in harness and collar is that they can wear any kind of tool. But when you try a new tool, like a collar or a harness or a different type of harness, the training starts over. But it makes you a better team, makes you a better owner, a better trainer, because inevitably you are your dog's trainer. You are a dog trainer. You're interacting with them. Whether you know what you're teaching them is a different story. But that's why we need to listen to the dog. The dog will tell us what we're teaching them. We may set out, just like yesterday, I was working with a very nice couple and their 3 dogs, and one of them looked a lot like this dog. It was a big black beautiful pit bull named Hank. We had set out to teach him leave it, so he didn't learn to counter surf. He never counter surfed in the first place, but we were just working on leave it. But he was a little nervous. He was more into wanting attention than he was worried about the food. So that's what we did. I switched it up and I said, I'm just going to sit down and just let you come over here. And, if you want some attention, I was petting him. He walked away. I would let him walk away. He has the right to, remove consent. He came back. I would pet him again. And I told the owner, like I tell everyone, you may set out to try teaching your dog to walk, but your dog really needs to learn to be comfortable in a new environment. So remain flexible. I've talked long enough. I'm just going to fast forward these a little bit.
But we had a moment there where she did this tight lip moment where that could have escalated to a bite. And so, and she just doesn't, it's not because she's dangerous or aggressive or whatever.
You are going to make her dangerous and aggressive the way you are training. If you listen to this woman, you will make this dog dangerous and aggressive. Maybe not to yourself, but to a stranger.
Doesn't know how to handle this situation, and she's using the tools in a wolf's toolbook.
Right? Oh, Jesus Christ, woman. No, she is not. You are a fucking moron. This is not a wolf. Dogs do not use wolf tools. Okay, even wolves don't use those. That would be the equivalent of saying you or this gentleman use chimp's tools, use a gorilla's tools, and it's because nothing to do with color or anything like that. Okay, I mean like just primates. That we share a lot of our genes with primates, right? Nobody uses a chimp's tool. No one's throwing shit at each other or smiling to show that there's we're trying to avoid aggression or that there's a fight or there's a predator coming. Like, just get off it, lady. Jesus, you are so ignorant. Wolves do not use any of these tools. She could not teach a wolf. She would have to, just like she can't teach an adult Cane Corso without using special tools to gain control of them. Good grief. Wolves do not do any of this nonsense. Dogs do have a common ancestor that comes from some type of wolf-like creature. We don't know if it's the gray wolf or whatever it is, but this dog is not a wolf. The closest equivalent would be to a wolf puppy. And dogs are not pack animals. Even wolves as a pack is a family unit. Dogs do not behave as such because they don't care. They give up their young after they have puppies because they don't need to, because they're taken care of by humans. It just, oh my gosh, nothing irritates me more and shows me more ignorance than this woman talking about dogs use wolves and, wolf tools in their toolbox and all this nonsense.
But you have total control.
Yeah.
So now he's going to get more aggressive, as if he already is, and tail tucks again.
She's very well to it, too.
Yeah.
She knows she's not in charge anymore.
No, she doesn't need to. She never thought she was in charge. She never thought she was in charge. She was just doing what worked. She's a 7-month-old puppy, and this woman here, Rachel of Senza Tempo Cane Corso, is ruining this guy's relationship with his own dog. If you want to do that, go ahead. But that's what I think. That's what I see.
So what I'm going to do...
Oh, so that's her. Okay, that's what she looks like.
I'm going to make sure that I'm adjusted here. See what I mean by tuck down?
Right.
So she, makes it really tight. She pulls down the skin. She's very rough-handed, very tight. Jesus.
Make sure we're secure.
So rough. All over the dog's face.
Okay, I'm going to put my hand right here. This is where I would normally do it. Okay? I'm just barely off.
Okay.
Right?
So, just 2 inches worth of leash.
I usually take these fingers like this. On a really good dog that's really well trained, I'll literally just use this finger here. This index finger, I'll just...
So, no more leash, just one less finger.
Just like that. Okay? Now her, she can kind of get a little bitey on the leash. So
Well, because you're probably teaching that, because she's fighting the leash pressure, so she's going to learn to try to attack the leash, or it's a puppy behavior. But she might be chewing on the leash because she says, this hurts, and I'm trying to get away from it.
sometimes you might want to, with a dog like this, you see me, I kind of was a little farther away. But that's not because that's the right way to do it, it's because I don't want to get bit.
Yeah, because you don't know what the hell you're doing. You're causing this dog to become more aggressive.
So, come on.
Choke
Now
the
that I'm
dog,
working
choke the
with you a little
dog.
bit, I can
Can't breathe, can't swallow.
So see how far my hand is down?
Right.
Let's see if I can zoom in for you guys.
I want to show you that I've got it right here. This is a loose lead. Okay? And
Oh, loose lead my ass. Loose lead in your hands, not on the dog though. Constant pressure. Good grief, woman.
to move on her neck
Unless she does cause something to happen.
because I'm right here.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Just constant controlling. This poor dog. Just dragging tow bar. Grabs her by the mouth. God forbid the dog actually has an inch to move within this collar, but no, she has to take it out, so she's constant pressure on this dog. Oh my gosh, okay. Ending on a positive note, there's no positive note for the dog other than ending there's no positive note for this poor dog other than stopping the choking, the constant choking. So we're going to end that there. I mean, I've talked long enough. If you want to follow Rachel of Senza Tempo Cane Corso, feel free to. Of course, I'm not going to tell you not to. I just don't recommend this. You can go subscribe to her, whatever you want to do. If you would like to, subscribe or like or dislike my video, then, you have that right too. Of course, I appreciate all of my subscribers, all the kind words that you guys leave for my sweet little Adonis. So yeah, that'll be really fun. But thanks for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all learned something. Say hi to your little critters. Give them some kind of loving for me. And until next time, stay positive.